You know, it's pretty amazing when you think about how some plants can really take a punch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, seriously, no water for who knows how long, baking sun, and they just keep going.
It's incredible.
Today, we are going full desert, exploring how these acacias, Acacia tortilis and Acacia radiana, managed to make it
Right.
in some of the toughest environments on Earth.
Exactly. These two species, they're found all over the world in these really dry places. And for this deep dive, we're going to be focusing on the Negev Desert in Israel.
Okay.
So think like over 40 degrees Celsius. The air is so dry, it almost hurts to breathe, and rain, forget about it, maybe twice a year. And even then, it's like a flash flood.
Wow.
It's intense.
Yeah. So, I mean, the question is, right, at these brutal conditions, how do some plants not just survive, but thrive?
That's the big one. Yeah.
I mean, better than others, even.
Yeah, and that's what's so fascinating
Yeah.
about the research we're looking at today.
So we've got a really cool experiment done in a greenhouse. They tracked like every little bit of water these acacia used. And then we'll also look at some observations of where they're actually found growing out in the wild.
Yeah, the goal here is to understand how these acacias use water, their strategies, and how that might tie into where you find them in the desert.
Okay, so like you said, the desert is tough. Obviously, there's hardly any rain.
Right.
And when it does rain, it's these intense bursts, right? Flash floods.
Yeah, maybe twice a year,
Twice a year, maybe.
if that.
But it's not just the lack of rain, right? It's the ground, too, where these acacias are growing.
Yeah, we're talking about wadis, these dry riverbeds.
Yeah.
The soil is, think about it like gravel, super permeable. So when that flash flood hits, that water just disappears, goes deep down, 5 to 7 meters. And what's left? Dry as a bone. The upper layer is just parched.
So it's like, think about when it suddenly pours on a beach.
Yeah.
It's dry again, like right away.
Exactly.
So that's going to be super hard for any plant trying to grow. And actually, the research talked about how important that soil water is, even for trees in less extreme places.
Right.
They mentioned like pine forests in Israel, and just a 5% drop in soil moisture can really slow down their growth.
So you can imagine, in a place like the Negev, every drop counts. It's a real pressure cooker.
So enter the acacias.
Yeah, talk about adaptation. These acacias had to figure out some serious tricks to survive.
Yeah.
To really get a handle on how they manage their water, the researchers set up this experiment in a greenhouse.
So they've got these seedlings, Acacia tortilis and Acacia radiana,
Uh-huh.
and they're growing them in these special containers called lysimeters.
Lysimeters, yeah.
Yeah.
Think of it like a really fancy pot
Yeah.
that lets you measure exactly how much water goes in and out.
So basically, they start the seedlings off with a good amount of water in the soil, 17%.
That's right, volumetric water content.
Okay.
And then over 2 weeks, they gradually reduce it down to just 5%.
So like they're slowly turning off the tap.
Exactly, to mimic a long drought.
Oh, I see.
And to make sure it's only the water that's affecting the plants, they keep everything else the same. Same light, temperature, soil, even the age of the seedlings, how deep their roots are, all controlled. And they even cover the pots to prevent evaporation from the soil. So any water loss is coming from the plant itself. And after the drought, they give the plants a good soak, simulating a flash flood.
So they can see how they recover.
Exactly.
Now, it wasn't just water in and water out they were looking at. They measured all sorts of things.
Oh yeah, they got deep into the plant's inner workings.
So daily transpiration, that's how much water the plant loses through its leaves.
Right.
Transpiration rate, which is that water loss but relative to the plant size.
Uh-huh.
And they looked at the stomata and how open or closed they were.
Right, how open or closed they were. This is measured as whole canopy stomatal conductance.
Okay.
And then adjusted for something called vapor pressure deficit, or VPD. They also looked at water use efficiency, basically how much biomass the plant produces for every bit of water it uses. They even measured their daily biomass gain to see how fast they're growing under different water conditions.
Yeah.
It is worth noting the VPD in the greenhouse, while it got pretty high, it wasn't as extreme as you'd find in the actual desert.
Right. So controlled environment, but still pretty harsh.
Yeah.
What did they find? How did these two acacias handle the lack of water?
So the results are really fascinating. Both species, even when the soil got super dry, like down to that 5 to 9% water content range, they were still transpiring.
Really?
Yeah, they were losing water, but they were still keeping those stomata open a bit, about 25% of their normal capacity.
That's pretty surprising, right?
It is. A lot of other trees, in dry areas, they really clamp down on their water loss. They close those pores tight.
Like they're playing it safe.
Exactly. But these acacias, they seem to have a different, riskier approach.
But there were some differences between the two species, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's not just a blanket spend water no matter what.
Okay.
When you look at the specifics of how they reacted, that's when it gets really interesting. They had different triggers for when they started conserving water.
So like different tolerance levels.
Yeah, exactly. Acacia tortilis, it started showing those stomatal responses, closing its pores a bit, when the soil got down to about 9.8% water content.
Okay.
But Acacia rhodiana, it started reacting earlier at a higher water content, like 13.1%.
So it's a little more cautious.
It seems that way, yeah.
Yeah.
Acacia tortilis was willing to push through those drier conditions before it started trying to conserve.
And I'm guessing that's not the only difference they found?
Nope, there's more. Acacia tortilis, it also showed way more growth, more than double, and bounced back way faster after the water came back.
So it's a quicker recovery.
Much quicker. Even during the peak drought, it was keeping its stomata more open than A. rhodiana at midday.
Okay.
So when that simulated flash flood hit, the Acacia tortilis bounced right back open its pores, water flowing again, much faster and more fully than A. rhodiana.
So it seems like Acacia tortilis is just better at using the little water it gets to actually grow.
Exactly, and the data supports that. They look at the relationship between daily growth and how much water was in the soil. And for A. tortilis, it was a steeper relationship. It got more bang for its buck, more growth for every drop of water.
And overall water use efficiency was higher too, right? Now, I remember something about the stuff inside the leaves changing too, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Both species, during the drought, they changed the concentration of solutes in their leaf sap.
So like the stuff dissolved in the liquid inside the leaves.
Right. They increased what's called leaf sap osmolality. It's a common response to drought. Helps them keep taking up water even when the soil's dry.
So it's like a way to maintain their water balance internally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The increase was much bigger in Acacia tortilis.
So it's like it's got a better internal regulator.
You could say that, yeah.
So we've got these two acacias, same harsh environment, but Acacia tortilis is living on the edge a bit, keeping those pores open even when water is scarce. But why? What's the advantage of being a water spender in the desert? Seems risky.
It is risky. It all comes down to what the researchers call the desert tree dilemma.
Okay, the dilemma.
Yeah. It's the balancing act between keeping cool and not drying out. Think about it. Desert temperatures, they can soar way above 40 degrees Celsius.
Way too hot.
At those temperatures, the proteins inside the plant cells, they can start to break down. So to avoid that, they open their stomata, let water evaporate, which cools the leaves.
It's like their version of sweating.
Yeah, their own air conditioning. But the problem is when the air is also super dry, like in the desert, that cooling comes at a cost. They risk losing too much water.
Yeah, dehydration. Not good.
Not good at all.
It's just a trade-off.
It is a trade-off. And field studies on mature acacias, they actually show that the acacias do use transpiration to cool themselves during the hottest part of the day.
So this water spending strategy that they saw in the experiment might be the key to how they tolerate those extreme temperatures,
It's a possibility.
where other, more cautious plants just wouldn't make it.
And actually, that's what some trees do in less extreme climates. Like in some Mediterranean forests, they just shut down during the hot, dry season, including midday, just to conserve water.
So the acacias are doing the opposite.
They are, staying active when it's toughest.
Now, there's another interesting idea they brought up, right?
Yeah, about nitrogen fixation.
So acacias, they've got this partnership with bacteria in the soil, rhizobia.
Right, rhizobia. These bacteria can take nitrogen from the air and turn it into a form the plants can use.
Okay.
But it's a process that takes a lot of energy. It needs a lot of carbon.
The plant gets from photosynthesis.
Exactly. So the acacia, to support those bacteria, it needs to keep its stomata open longer.
To keep the carbon flowing.
Right, even under stress.
Now, this experiment focused on seedlings, which are especially vulnerable in the desert.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got those unpredictable bursts of water
Yeah.
and the danger of being washed away.
It's a critical stage for them. Getting established is a huge challenge.
So how does this water spending strategy, the faster growth of Acacia tortilis, how does that help a tiny seedling?
Well, the researchers suggest by growing faster, even with limited water, those A. tortilis seedlings can develop a deeper, more extensive root system,
Okay.
and they can do it quickly.
So they can access water that's deeper down.
Exactly.
And they're more anchored in that loose soil, less likely to get washed away.
It's like a race against time. They need to get established before the next drought or flood hits.
So it's like grow fast or get washed away.
Exactly.
So the greenhouse gives us a really controlled look at how these seedlings deal with drought. But the researchers also went out into the desert to see where these trees actually grow naturally. Did what they see out in the field match up with the greenhouse results?
They did field surveys in the Arava region, and they found a really clear pattern in terms of where each species is found within the wadi system.
Okay.
Acacia radiana was more common in the main channels of those dry riverbeds.
So what's the water situation like in those main channels?
It tends to be a little bit more consistent, less extreme fluctuations, because the channels collect water from a larger area.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they accumulate more water after a rainfall event.
Okay.
So the soil stays moist for longer.
More reliable, but still dry.
Exactly.
And Acacia tortilis, where was it found?
More abundant outside the main channels.
Yeah.
So the higher ground, smaller tributaries, those sorts of areas.
And those areas probably dry out faster, right?
Yeah, they do. Faster runoff, less water accumulation overall, quicker drying, and bigger swings in water availability.
So they're finding their own little niche within the same desert environment.
They are, yeah. It's like they've each specialized in a particular part of that wadi system.
And it sounds like their different water strategies that we saw in the greenhouse, those match up perfectly with where they're actually found in the wild.
They do, yeah. It's a beautiful example of how the plant's physiology, their inner workings, are reflected in their distribution in the landscape.
So Acacia radiana, the more cautious one, it fits in those main channels where water is a bit more predictable.
Exactly. Slower responses to change, lower water use efficiency. It works well in a more stable, though still dry, environment.
But then you've got Acacia tortilis, the risk taker, quick reactions, fast growth under drought, better water efficiency. That all suits those areas outside the main channel where water comes and goes quickly.
They're the opportunists.
Yeah.
They got to be able to grab that water when it's there and make the most of it.
So to wrap it up, we've got these two acacias living side by side, but they've evolved these totally different ways of dealing with water stress.
They have.
It really shows how even in a seemingly harsh, uniform environment like the desert, there are these subtle differences that can lead to amazing adaptations.
Absolutely.
And this research suggests that these acacias, with their unique strategies, they might actually be pretty well equipped to handle climate change.
Yeah, the future, potentially.
With increasing heat and drought.
It's possible.
Which would be great because then they could become important carbon sinks in a warmer world.
Right, that's the hope, that these desert specialists can teach us something about resilience in the face of a changing climate.
It makes you think, right, about how these different survival tactics, the risk taker versus the cautious one, how those might play out in other ecosystems facing water scarcity.
A lot to ponder. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. Until next time.